Still in West Africa, Niger's military rulers have banned French aircraft from flying over the country's airspace. The Agency for Safety of Air Navigation in Africa and Madagascar made the disclosure in a statement published on its website. According to the statement, Niger's airspace is open to all national and international commercial flights except for French aircraft or aircraft chartered by France, including those of the airline Air France. It added that the airspace will remain closed for all military, operational, and other special flights unless receiving prior authorization. Niger reopened its airspace on September 4 for commercial flights after having closed for nearly a month. Well, we're now joined by Chrys Anyanwu to look at this development some more. Thanks for joining us tonight, sir.
Thank you. Good evening.
All right. The military junta has accused United Nations chief of blocking their participation at the United Nations General Assembly. We're talking about the Niger military junta. Is this accusation valid in your opinion?
Thank you. And United Nations General Assembly is actually the policy making arm of the, that guarantees not just global leaders, diplomatic leaders, development organizations, and all stakeholders, even business leaders, the opportunity to, have global conversations on global policy issues. The hunger is the word, and it goes beyond, as the leaders. The hunger actually is for the 100 members of the United Nations. I think is for me, Antonio Guterres actually has to look beyond the fact there's a difference between the presidency and the so the hunger cover 193 members of the UN. And then if you look at some of the allegations that have been raised by the military juntas, that is actually, they are actually accusing France, the UN chief and other EU members, to punish Nigerians. So I think this would have given a very good opportunity, for a message to be passed to the juntas. They have promised they are going to the civilians, and they are allowing them to participate, not just allowing the leadership of the junta, the military leader who took over power from Bazoum, but allowing Niger to participate. As a matter of fact, they've actually before nominated the former UN, the former ambassador of Niger to represent the country in the hunger. So I actually believe allowing them to participate in the hunger would have given, the international body a better platform, a better opportunity to pass their message of restoring power back to civilian administration in Niger. But not allowing them to participate is not just punishing the entire Nigerians, okay? It's also a bit further. Like I said, there is a difference between the country. The hunger is for the 193 member countries, that are part of the United Nations, not just the leadership of those countries.
All right. The Nigerian military junta seems to be seeking some sort of validation from the international community while trying to also align there with other military juntas in the region. We see what they've signed as a pact with Mali and Guinea and Burkina Faso. Is this not a case of trying to eat your cake and have it?
Well, you look at it as aligning with the other fellow juntas in Africa. They look at it from a different direction of trying to protect their territory. There have been various interference from West African blocs and other regional bodies and even the international bodies, in Niger. And of course, there is something I think African leaders particularly must know, there's a new awakening in Africa right now, against the particularly French, hegemon. There's a new awakening against the pattern of under that the West, has been accused Africa. So it's going to go on and over again. If things are not done as we, particularly in the Francophone countries, I was making reference to what a friend last time called the spring. So this is continuing to go on. There's a lot of greed on the part of the West, our natural resources that are warehoused in Africa. And they're just not, resulted into a lot of, clandestine, terrible things. They create crises in Africa to have access to these resources. So, unfortunately, people are looking at it as eating your and having it, and all manner of things. You see, these people are very, very focused about protecting their territory, saying that they can't do it alone. And some West African neighbors are against it. They are forming an alliance, particularly, kicked against this French hegemony in their territories. They are forming an alliance just to protect their own territory.
All right. Dr. Anyanwu, the junta had promised to restore democracy in 3 years, which seems to be, the usual path most military juntas take, but end up wanting to transit from military rule to civilian rule. Are you confident that the Niger junta will stick to its promise and hand power over to the civilians, then go back to the barracks?
If you recall the independent era in Africa, when military coups were very rampant, part of Africa, virtually all the part of Africa witnessed one form of military interventions. So that has always been the style. They take over power and then they promise to restore power within some time and all that. Unfortunately, most of these things never came to pass. That has been the strategy. However, this is actually where the concentration of the international community should be. And if you had asked me, this is even part of the reason why Niger should have been invited to UNGA, so that they press down, so that they have a better opportunity to engage them and pressurize them, to hand over power. And again, I also think ECOWAS in a way is getting it wrong, because the pressure has been on them restoring power to Bazoum. That seems to me like a much more difficult task to accomplish. It's a wise, good case, because Bazoum there has been, allegation of him that is inclined to the Western hegemony, the French hegemony. So, and that has been the idea in Niger. So if the ECOWAS can shift a bit from restoring power to Bazoum to restoring power to civilian administration, I think that would be a much more easier something to achieve. The whole idea, an argument, and from restoring power to Bazoum, going to look a little more difficult to achieve than if they actually shift to restoring power to civilian administration. So I think this is where the concentration should actually be, on pressuring them to restore power as quickly as possible, even before the promise. But if you ask me, that has been the style. That has been their strategy. The military, whenever the military take over in any civilian administration, they will promise you are going to restore power within this period or that period. Most times it never came to pass.
Well, interesting views. Thank you so much for your time and expert analysis, Dr. Chrys.
Thank you.